Okay guys, welcome back to JK Rants and Reviews. I'm John. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Out of all the reviews I've done so far, this one is the one that's stressing me out the most because the fandom is extremely toxic. If you're a huge fan of the original trilogy of Star Wars in general, most of the time nowadays, ever since basically The Force Awakens, to be fair, it's mostly The Last Jedi, the disagreements, different opinions, likes and dislikes, people get real heated real fast, and I'm included in that. I'm not gonna lie. When The Last Jedi came out, I was of a strong opinion, so I'm gonna do my best to keep myself as positive in this review as possible, because there are good things about this movie, especially where, one director handed it off to another and they did things completely different, and then, now this movie is tying up and finishing up a trilogy, and so, it just, in its defense, could only do so much. Going into that, knowing this is just a movie, let's talk about it. Basically, what this movie should have been called is Star Wars Damage Control. That's exactly what it should have been called, because we open up with Emperor sending out a message, Kylo going to find the GPS Sith for Exegol, and then he kills all those guys, gets it, goes, 5 minutes in, you got him at Exegol, the lightning, the shadows, darkness, cool cinematography. It was awesome. It's really cool to see once he comes head to head with the Emperor. The Emperor's all messed up and decayed, and like his eyes are whited over. You also get to see the little, cloning pod things possibly of Snoke, and you come to find out that Snoke was completely a pawn of the Emperor, which is awesome. That raises some questions, but at the end of the day, it makes you feel better about not seeing a great fight scene, great character development with Snoke, because it doesn't really matter anymore. And since everybody, I don't think there's a single person out there that really thought that Kylo is big enough, is good enough, is bad enough, is interesting enough to be the big bad. He's just not. He's lost every fight he goes up against. In this movie, he fights Rey, and Rey never even gets hurt. I'm not even really worried for her. She pretty much is twice as powerful as he is. From Exegol, we find out that the Emperor's he wants Rey, and he sends out Kylo after the scavenger. So now Kylo's chasing her down, which he pretty much was anyway. So then we see Rey training with Leia, and that's really, really cool to see Leia taking on like the master position of the Jedi, and seeing Rey float there, which is an interesting ability that we really haven't seen before. But it looks good. The training looks good. From there, we get all the characters together. Once again, we get the fellas on the Millennium Falcon playing against Chewie. That dialogue is great. When they meet up with Rey, that dialogue is great. The chemistry is fantastic between all the characters. And then the movie just goes. It's 2 hours and 2.5 hours of just nonstop. And the pacing I thought was really good. The MacGuffin is a little ridiculous. It's a huge, convenience for the story, a way to drive it, give the story some direction. But it's not really negative. I can get past that. It's done all the time, especially if you play video games. When Kylo's rolling up in the TIE Fighter, that's cool. A little ridiculous flipping over the TIE Fighter, but it was cool. And then the holding back of the troop carrier, the freighter, that was awesome. Force lightning was awesome, but once again, it falls back on the fact that Rey's awesome for no reason whatsoever. We do get a little reason. She is now a Palpatine. But it's kind of frustrating because you're like, okay, she's super powerful, I get that. But, Anakin was conceived by the midichlorians, and Qui-Gon Jinn said that he has more than Master Yoda and everybody. So he's the most powerful Jedi that they'd ever come across, and he couldn't do half this stuff, and wasn't half as good. Basically, Rey's awesome for no reason other than the Force talks to her, and she can just naturally do things. Which, I get that. Palpatine is awesome. He is the big bad in Star Wars that we've ever seen. If you watch him fight Mace Windu, you can see that he's toying with Mace Windu that whole fight. He runs through those first 3 guys and then could kill Mace Windu just as quickly, but he has to wait till Anakin gets there. Struggles a little bit with Yoda, but I still think he was holding back for whatever reason there. Anyway, negatives, that's one was Rey. Once again, healing, not being able to nobody ever showed her how to do that, as far as we know, unless Leia or Luke figured it out. We didn't see that. She can float. We haven't really seen that before. Now she can do Force Lightning without even trying, just barely tapping into her anger. And so that leads me into another one is Chewie, like the head fake with Chewie. By the time I was like, wow, you really did that, and it didn't feel earned, and I was like, wow, that was quick. That was real fast. And then right when I was accepting the fact, like, oh, wow, maybe this movie's going to go there. Maybe it is. Nope, there was a second one. Really? Really? There was a second one? And that leads me into the other negatives. C-3PO. Oh, I'm taking one last look, and we take a second. Oh, man, wow, C-3PO, for all he is gone. Nope, there's a backup. He's downloaded again 2 days later. Really? Poe's girlfriend. Oh, man, it blew up. That landed. A character you didn't really have an emotional attachment for, but you felt bad for Poe. And then she's back. Oh, okay. Okay. Kylo? Oh, he's dead. Nope, he's coming back. Thanks to that fancy healing. Rey, she's dead. Nope, she's coming back. I mean, the Emperor, dead. Nope, he's coming back. Like, how many death fake-outs are we going to have? Now, I know there's a lot of people that are saying that the fact that the Emperor's back in this movie belittles what happens in the Return of the Jedi. I disagree with that. The arc of Vader is done. They did help stop him for a period of time. So, I mean, for me, it doesn't take away from the original trilogy. That's my little bit on that. And then from there, you find the dagger. Don't really care for the dagger that somebody made so that way you could see it on the Death Star that's just been sitting there, which, I mean, thank God it didn't sink or, I don't know, fall apart more, and then you're out of luck. I don't know. From the dagger, you go to the old Death Star. The old Death Star was fantastic. I like the shot where they're panning up and you can see the window, you can see the chair. Little scene with Dark Ray was awesome. Definitely wish I could have got 5 more minutes of that. And I'm not, sometimes less is more, but man, that was awesome. Super sweet fight scene. Then Kylo shows up. Once again, great fight scene, great visuals. It was kind of a nice throwback to Revenge of the Sith, where it's like a volcanic planet and you've got Darth Vader completely going evil and losing. And in this one, you've got Kylo Ren becoming good and losing, and then winning in some instances. So that fight scene was really good. Once again, the healing power just kind of takes the emotional suspense out of it. You stab him, you heal him, and away we go. I really did like Harrison Ford there. That was really cool. I think they probably would have used Leia in that scene, but since Carrie Fisher passed, rest in peace, they used Harrison Ford. And I think that was a great idea. It kind of had the Batman vs. Superman, where he's looking at his dad on top of the mountain, looking for guidance. But I like that they call back to The Force Awakens, where he's like, I know what I need to do, but I don't have the strength. I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And then his dad gives him a few words of encouragement, and he pauses, and he goes, I know. Just, I love you. I know. Oh, so good. Turns around, throws the lightsaber. From there, we go to Luke's Island. So I'm going to call it because I can't remember the name of it. And she burns the TIE fighter and is getting ready to throw in the lightsaber, and Luke comes out of the flames holding back the lightsaber and basically says, is that any way to treat a Jedi's weapon? Basically. Which is a direct slap in the face to The Last Jedi when he grabs the lightsaber and throws it over his shoulder, where most people hated that. Some people liked it. I hated it. I get what they were going for. It works for what they were going for. It doesn't mean I like it. It just doesn't. Just doesn't. Oh, it scared me. I didn't know it was going to go off. You treat the lightsaber with respect. Whew. Scared me. Anyway, so that's really cool. More optimistic Luke, more wise. He admits he's wrong, gives an inspirational speech for her, and then lifts up the Millennium Falcon. Just old school, like back in Empire, like Yoda, brings it over, and away she can go. For what you had left to work with Luke, I liked it. I liked it. From what was left over from The Last Jedi, I really like what they did with Luke in this movie. You guys let me know, because I asked my wife this. When Luke fades away in The Last Jedi, if he would have reappeared in the beginning of this movie as still alive, with everything that we've been changing, with changing of physical objects in this movie, with healing and all this stuff and the force projection, would you have been okay with Luke still being alive? Comment down below and let me know. That's my biggest thing. Like, would it have stuck the landing? Would it have been okay with the fans? I would have been okay with it because I love Luke Skywalker, and I feel like Luke Skywalker is the biggest disappointment of this trilogy. Anyway, that's my question. So from there, you know, we get the rallying cry, trying to get everybody, you know, Poe using his girlfriend's line, like, look, they're out there, we'll find them, they'll come. So we're off, here we go. Going to Exegol. Once again, Exegol's awesome. Looks great the whole time. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. You got the OG Star Destroyers coming out of the water or the ice, and they just look awesome with the lightning and everything like that. And of course, they've got like Death Star technology, planet killers on their spaceships. Of course, I don't care. I can see why somebody that'd bug them because it's a card played over and over and over and over again. But it was cool. And also seeing all the Millennium Falcon and Leia's ship and all the old school ships and some even probably from video games and other stuff like that. That was awesome. Then we have Rey going in to the base of the Emperor. Once again, awesome, lightning, dark, scary, probably like the darkest, some of the darkest elements in the Star Wars trilogies yet. And then we see her come face to face with the Emperor and the whole, you know, granddaughter and my kids and exiled and all that information and history, and strike me down and I'll transfer her over to you. Love it, love it. She has to because she has to save her friends and then she can take control of the army, but she's afraid of what will happen. Love it. And he's super scary, he's super manipulative. I love it. They just nail that character. So it's weird that Palpatine had a kid and then was waiting on could see that the granddaughter is going to be super powerful, which helps the fact that Rey's awesome for no reason other than like he even foresaw that she was going to be super, super powerful. But he had a kid. Like, this is a guy who can create life, which maybe he did just create his own kid and then let his kid go off to have a grandkid. If you can create clones and life and stuff like that, there's got to be an easier way. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that and how I feel about it. It's just kind of weird to think of him having a kid because I always just imagined him making clones and evil, you know, clones. And then you've got Kylo showing up to save the day right when she's about to just cut him in half. But then you get the Knights of Ren. Finally, you get the Knights of Ren. I mean, I could have used a little bit more of them, but they were pretty sweet. I like their kind of like Mad Max look with the big weapons and armor and stuff like that. And they're beating him up. Here's one of my negatives too. The forced physical transfer of the lightsaber, and when he grabs the necklace earlier on, like, oh god, it's just never been there. Like, why are we introducing new stuff to this? I mean, I get it that there's more stuff in the books and in the games and stuff like that, but in the original trilogy, with Yoda being 900 years old, with all the like trained Jedi that we've never seen any of this stuff before, with the Sith Lords that we've seen, nothing. Anyway, trying to enjoy it, trying to stay positive, just go with it. So he gets the lightsaber, kills them, shows up with Rey. They're both standing there, lightsaber's drawn. I grabbed that, but it scared me last time. And then boom, he just drops them both and steals their essence. And then he like jumps off the chair and he's all like perfect, or not perfect, but he's looking awesome, just like back in probably episode 3. And you're like, this is sick. But now he's saying that all the Sith lives in me, and like, really, that's a thing now too? The Force lightning into the sky. Awesome, looked cool. Wow, the Emperor is like, you know, fully powered to the max, like times 10 of what we've ever seen before. And it looks cool, but as soon as he's done doing it, everybody's like, pull up and go back to work. Like, it just seemed like it really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, it was cool, but it just, I don't know. The whole fight scene in space, only one dude died. The guy that was like, she was like, can you try to be a little more optimistic, positive about that? And he's like, oh yeah, we're all gonna die, it's gonna be great. That guy, he's the only one that dies. Everybody else like fake dies and comes back to life. He's the only one. I mean, other than Ben, which we're getting there. And you got Hux, you got the Emperor. There's some people that die, but for the most part, like good guys. I mean, Leia dies, but I mean, we kind of knew that going in. Anyway, so they both are, you know, basically dead. So he throws Ben, over the little ledge. He's gone. Okay, I'm all the Jedi. Okay, which that kind of took me out of the movie because I was so like, oh man, we're really doing this now? Like, This would have been handy for Luke when he was pretty much the only one left. Nope. Okay. Once again, Force lightning would have been nice if somebody would have told Luke so he didn't just get zapped. But he was told to never underestimate. Anyway, so that kind of took me out of the movie. Both lightsabers drawn, walking up to the Emperor. It's looking awesome. It just reflects back to him. It kills him, and it kills all the dudes in the audience where I'm not sure if they were just worshippers, if they had no Force, if they were clones. And we didn't talk about it. I mean, it could be just like Sith ghosts or something. I don't know. I didn't understand that full power he lost to one gal when she was hurt. Two people, he was on 10% battery life, dropped him no problem. Well, why didn't he just do that again? Like, because it's the exact same scenario, but he decides to use Force lightning when he knows, like, a lightsaber can hurt him. If, you know, it can reflect and hurt him. I don't know. So he's dead. And, like, right there, I was like, that's it? I turned to my brother, I was like, that's it? He was like, thank God they didn't give her 3 lightsabers. It'd been over faster. Ben comes up, she's dying, transfers his life force, because he knows how to do that now. Of course he does. She lives, he dies. He was taught, I guess, from Luke or whoever, how to transfer himself to the Force because he was redeemed just like Darth Vader, even though you killed billions of people. Yeah, one act of goodness and you're a good guy now and you get to go live happily ever after in heaven or wherever. Okay. 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 Anyway. So now she goes off and, you know, basically we see the galaxy, you know, we see the little Ewoks and we see everybody celebrating. And she goes back to Moisture Farm on Tatooine and buries the lightsabers. And then the person shows up and goes, who are you? She says her name. Who is your family name? She looks over and sees Leia and Luke. And that was awesome. I mean, seeing Carrie Fisher again, I met her in 2015. Super nice gal. Met her twice. I was just going to stand there and get a picture with her. She's like, no, we're hugging. Me and my wife. It was fantastic. She's just fantastic. So that was awesome. And then she says Skywalker. And, you know, it's earned. I mean, for the most part. I mean, God, she's a Palpatine. She was an orphan. These are her parents. I mean, for the most part. Han Solo played a piece of it. Married to a Skywalker. Leia trained her. Luke trained her. I like that. I really do like that full circle adopting family, you know, continuing the Force. I like that. And I liked her lightsaber. Yeah, when she's got her staff, it looks like a piece of her staff, she flips it on and it's yellow. Really cool. I like that. I think that's the lightsabers of the guards. So now she's like guarding the future, you know, like that. And it might also be a symbol of like she's not completely good, she's not completely evil, she's not like a gray Jedi. She's a mixture of everything, which is probably gray. But anyway, going back to Finn, when he's like, I need to tell you something. A lot of people think he's going to say that he loves her. I'm going to go with my wife and say that he was going to say that he's Force sensitive. Throughout the movie, he's like, I got a feeling, I can sense this, da-da-da. There's different things that show that he's Force sensitive in The Force Awakens. And it makes me feel better once again about The Last Jedi and him defeating Captain Phasma, even though in the previous movie he lost to a somewhat trained stormtrooper with the little flippy electric thing. There's a word for that. My wife's theory, I don't know, I don't think she heard this from anybody, but her theory is that everybody, the stormtroopers, the other gal that he meets at the end of Rise of Skywalker, she was probably also Force sensitive, and the Force snapped them out of their brainwash. So I like that. I like that idea, that the Force was shifting them to become part of the rebellion. You know, stuff like, I like that. I think that's really cool. So overall, guys, the movie's not perfect. For as many answers as you get in this movie, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, which I think some of them really don't matter. Like, why was the Millennium Falcon there? Why was that lightsaber with Maz? Why was she on Jakku? And why was that old dude with the map to Luke on Jakku? Like, there's just still some stuff that was never answered in this movie. But like I said, for wrapping it up, for bringing back the Emperor in an awesome way, there's just things that don't fit. There's plot holes. There's characters that, in my opinion, weren't handled very well, but this movie is nice. If you hate The Last Jedi, you don't ever have to watch The Last Jedi again. You know, Luke's dead, Snoke's dead. That's all you need to know. That's it. You can basically go from The Force Awakens to The Rise of Skywalker and have a nice day. I mean, for the most part, you don't even really have to watch the Force Awakens if you don't want to. You can get everything you need out of this movie. I'm gonna give this movie an 8. It could drop down to 7.5, but overall, with the low expectations I had after The Last Jedi, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fast paced. The little bit of comedy was good. It's just the fake outs and the new Force abilities is the two big negative things for me. I'm not mad about the damage control because I get it, and I think it was done pretty well. So yeah. So guys, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I missed something, if you can fill in some gaps for me. If you can tell me what that little flippy lightning rod thing was. Make sure and like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get some more R&R. Until next time, JK out.